Okay. So good evening. This is Maureen Meredith. I work in the Planning and Housing Department. I'm the case manager for these two plan amendment cases. The first one to be discussed tonight is NPA 2020-0016.01. We have a 45-minute discussion time. First, there will be a staff presentation, then there will be the applicant's presentation, and then we will open the meeting to questions and answers. As you can see, there's a chat box. If you follow the icons, if you could put your name and organization so we can know who is here. Let's see. If you can, number 2 says share more information about yourself by clicking the URL in the chat box and filling out the form. Please mute your microphone if you are joining by phone. So how to participate today. The speech bubble in the menu bar at the bottom of your screen will open the chat box where you can type in questions at any time. After the presentations, click on the raise hand icon to be called on to speak. So as I said, the first case is NPA 2020-0016.01. As you know, it's within the Govali-Johnson Terrace Combined Neighborhood Planning Area within the Govali District. As I said, I'm the case manager for the plan amendment case. Heather Chafin is the zoning case manager, and here's her contact information. So here's the agenda. I will go over some more detail of the case information and some guidelines for the group discussion tonight, how to participate in the process. I'll explain why there is a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map, also called a FLUM. Then the applicant's buyer, the buyer of the property, David Hartman, will give a presentation, and then we will open the floor to questions and answers. So again, it's within the Govali-Johnson Terrace planning area. Here are the property addresses: 748, 750, 760, 764 Airport Boulevard, and 5301, it should be Glissman Road, not Glassman, and it's 5.21 acres. There's the case number again, and the request is to change the future land use map from commercial to mixed use. The associated zoning case number is C14 2020-0073. The request is to change the zoning from commercial service conditional overlay neighborhood plan to commercial service mixed use VMU neighborhood plan for multifamily and commercial uses. Here we have the owner's applicants: Modern Supply Company of Austin, Texas, with Jack Hall as a contact person, and Coastal Transport Company, Inc., Joe Moran. Agent for the seller is Alice Glasgow from Alice Glasgow Consulting. Agent for the buyer is David Hartman from Smith Robertson LLP. So here are the guidelines. So as everyone knows, due to COVID, there's a need for social distancing. So in-person questions and comments have been moved to this online chat format. Everyone will be allowed to speak. We ask that you listen respectfully and actively, to criticize ideas, not individuals. Commit to learning, not debating, to avoid blame, speculation, inflammatory language, avoid assumptions about others, especially based on their perceived social group, and staff reserves the right to delete offensive language and remove offenders from the meeting. I'll be happy to say we have not had to do any of those things in the previous meetings so far, so we hope to continue that. Some more guidelines is please feel free to type your questions into the chat at any time during this meeting. After the staff and applicant presentations, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand by clicking the hand symbol on the menu bar. Telephone applicants will be able to speak during the Q&A session of the meeting. Attendees will be muted upon arrival, and through the staff and applicant presentations. Then staff will open the floor to answer questions in the chat or by attendees raising their hands to speak. Just be aware this meeting is being recorded. So similar questions may be grouped together and answered together. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking for the sake of sound quality and clarification of conversation. If you are having connection issues, you can turn off your video until called upon to ask a question to open bandwidth. Next slide. So how to participate in this process. The questions that will be asked tonight, as I said, will be recorded, but if you send me or Heather questions through email, we will be able to answer those within 5 business days. You can email or call the case manager with any questions or comments that you have. Written comments that you submit will be added to the staff case reports, if you would like. And you will get a notice in the mail of the date and time of the Planning Commission and City Council hearings if you live within 500 feet of the process, and you can participate in those hearings, and instructions will be in that public hearing notice. So why is there a plan amendment case? So neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. The city charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most neighborhood plan amendments are amendments to the future land use map. And most neighborhood plan amendment cases have an associated zoning application. So this map shows in blue the areas of the city that have City Council approved neighborhood plans, most of which have a future land use map. Future land use map looks like this. These colors on the map represent broad land uses. For example, yellow represents single family, pink office, brown mixed use, orange multifamily, purple industrial, and blue civic, to just name a few. And this chart shows the zoning districts that are considered compatible with those various land use categories. So in this case, the existing zoning, base zoning is CS, and the future land use map shows red. With the proposed zoning of CS mixed use, vertical mixed use, the proposed FLUM would change to a brown color. So here's an aerial photo that shows the property just south of Glissman Road and to the west of Airport. This is a Google map that shows the various uses on the property and some surrounding uses. This is a future land use map that shows the, you can't really see the color through the blue haze, but it is a red, which would be a commercial land use. And this is a zoning map that shows the zoning as CS, Commercial Service Conditional Overlay Neighborhood Plan. And this map shows the property in relation to the Imagine Austin Growth Concept Map, where they show Airport Boulevard as being an activity corridor. And to the north in yellow, you can see the Springdale Station, which is considered an activity center. And that's the end of my presentation. And next we will go into a presentation by David Hartman.
David, do you want to do this, or do you want to continue with me just running the slides?
I'll take over. Thank you, Mark.
And let me stop sharing.
Okay.
You got it? You got it.
Tell me when you see it. You see it.
I see it.
We can see it.
Great. Good evening. Again, my name is David Hartman. Excuse me, on behalf of the developer, Ben Browder, the developer Odin Hughes multifamily that's on, and Ben Browder is on the phone. Additionally, Alice Glasgow, who's been mentioned, is also on the phone as well, available for questions. The site, as indicated, is a little over 5 acres with existing machine welding and steel fab, trucking terminal at this location, modern supply company and coastal transport company along Airport and Glissman Road. The zoning and neighborhood plan amendment applications was submitted in July. as has been mentioned, changing the FLUM from commercial to mixed use and changing the zoning to VMU. And the zoning change just simply adds a mixed use element and a vertical mixed use element to the existing zoning. It's for a proposed mixed use project, including multifamily and commercial uses. And one of the benefits and one of the things that VMU brings to the project is a requirement for 10% affordable housing. The site will have access from Glissman and Airport. This is a project aerial, Glissman to the north, Airport to the east, and Shady Lane and 7th Street. Zoning area map, you can see that to the east is CSMU CONP, also LINP. To the south is CSV CONP, so VMU, like what we're asking for. GRMU to the southwest. Immediately to the west and northwest is SF3NP, or single family residential. This is the FLUM that Maureen's already talked about, that shows the red commercial existing FLUM that will change to match the FLUM to the south, brown, that you see immediately adjacent to the tract. This is just a larger view of what Maureen showed of shows it's on a Imagine Austin corridor and near 3 Imagine Austin centers. And then the ASMP that was passed, obviously, this demonstrates that it's not only on a transit priority network of Airport Boulevard, but obviously Lavender Loop, East 7th, and Shady Lane are also TPNs. And this shows, again, a CAP Metro area bus stop right at the subject tract, and then also within pretty quick walking distance. I'll slow down here for anybody who may be on the phone that is not familiar with compatibility. The Land Development Code basically says that if you've got what's referred to as a triggering property, like the single family zoning that we have to the west and northwest, it triggers compatibility regulations that primarily limit height and scale of buildings adjacent. You've got from 0 to 25 feet from the triggering property line. You cannot have any structures. And then then looking at the top of this slide, from 25 to 50, you can go 30 feet high maximum or 2 stories, 50 to 100, 40 feet or 2 stories. And from 100 to 300, it's not until 300 feet that you can get to 60 foot high, which is what this CS zoning category, base category authorizes. It's illustrated a little bit better on this compatibility slide here. So you can see that the triggering properties, single family to the west and northwest, trigger this no structure here in this red, and it steps back. And basically this is purple line is the 300 foot. So roughly at about a football field away from the triggering properties is the first place in the subject tract that you can actually achieve the 60 foot maximum height, and then you have to step down to the west of the property. This zoning comparison chart, the bottom line, it's existing zoning on the left-hand side, proposed zoning on the right-hand side. And what this basically demonstrates is that maximum height, 60 feet under existing zoning, is exactly the same, identical under proposed zoning. Compatibility is identical. We're not changing anything. Really what we're doing is under the VMU project, you're able to relax some of the minimum side area FAR restrictions as an example. But the big difference and the big benefit for VMU zoning is it brings in some affordable units for residential projects. This is the final slide. That there are multiple ways that this FLUM amendment fulfills the goals and principles of the neighborhood plan. I think goal number 3 was really the most one I would emphasize the most: develop a balanced and varied pattern of land use, with several key principles underneath that category that you can read there. The last thing, I think it was important that the last bullet basically says housing issues are number 1 in this area, especially the need for affordable infill housing and for multiple housing units. And I think that really is kind of what we're trying to fulfill with this these zoning applications. With that, that's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Of course, others on the phone as well that can answer questions.
Well, good evening. This is Mark Walters, Planning and Housing Department. If there's anybody on the phone who would like to ask a question, there is a phone number that ends in 7119. If that person would like to answer questions, ask any questions, we'll start there. And I think it's *6 to unmute if you're on the phone. No, I'll go to the chat to see if there's anybody there. No, I'm not seeing any questions there as well. So is there anything that the applicants would like to add while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions?
David Hartman, I do not. I'll ask Dallas if you might.
Oh, sorry, I need to unmute. The only thing I would like to correct is the name of the owner for Coastal Transport. The name is Joe Morgan. I think there was a typo in Maureen's presentation. Just wanted to make sure that we caught that. Morgan and not Moran.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, no questions. I think we can end the meeting. For those out there who might be listening, there will be another meeting at this same team's meeting space at 7 o'clock. Is that correct, Maureen?
Had to unmute. Yes, the case NPA 2020-0016.02 at 1101 Shady Lane. That is a time-specific discussion at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Well, if nobody has any questions, I think we can end the meeting here and everyone can get out to their evening. Hello?
Someone is trying to speak.
Does someone have a question? Or was that a feedback on my name, on me speaking?
It's possible.
Is Jack Hall one of your clients?
Yes, Jack Hall is one of the landowners. He owns the properties on Airport Boulevard, and Joe Morgan owns the property on Glissman Road.
Okay.
Yes.
Trying to see if any. Okay, I think other than the person with the phone number ending in 7119,
That's Ben Browder.
7119 that's Ben Browder. I'm the applicant.
Okay.
Yeah.
7119.
Yeah, he's the prospective buyer.
Okay. Well, I think with that we can in this meeting we'll convene back in some almost 38 minutes for the next presentation.
Well, thank you very much, staff, for hosting the meeting. And Michelle, good luck to you. It might be just you and staff.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Very good presentation, David. And Alice, of course.
Thank you all. Good luck for the rest of the evening.
It's all
Thank you
it's all
for everyone's
teamwork.
time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen and Mark.